Hello fellow hunters, JBiz Hunts back again with another Hunter Call the Wild conspiracy theory video. Today I'm diving into a theory that herd management doesn't actually exist, at least not in the way most of us believe. In this video, I'll share a fun idea that herd management might not be real at all, which could explain why Expansive Worlds has said it's not considered cheating to increase the number of diamonds, super rares, or even great ones. Because if it isn't real, how could it be cheating? I'll also offer a different way of thinking about grinding for great ones, one that could help you see results much faster. Let's dive in. This is just a fun theory. I'm not saying other content creators are wrong, myself included. Some of my biggest videos are about herd management. The goal here is to spark discussion, get the community thinking, and maybe even inspire you to try some new ideas out. Before we dive into the conspiracy, we need to lay out the current understanding of herd management. The current theory is that we must first find all of our zones, pick 12 to 16 main zones that will be our main shooting zones until the end of the grind. All other zones are considered exterior or outside zones and must have their male population be shot down to low level. To help with this, you can also do a method called stacking, where you leave max level or diamond potential animals in your main zones while you shoot down your exterior zones. The thought is that these big males help make exterior zone males respawn smaller to shoot down your zones quicker. The current theory is that by having most of your male population be low level, that this will cause your main zone's males to consistently respawn as large max weight estimate males more consistently, which would increase the diamond spawn rate as well as increase the chance that a great one would respawn in the game potentially. Now, here's the theory. Herd management isn't real. Instead, it's more like a controlled game of musical chairs, where you, the hunter, decide which animals stay in the game and which ones must sit out the rest of the game. Let's use whitetail deer as an example. Since they are purely herd animals, there's no solo zones to complicate things in the explanation. When I finished my Great One whitetail grind on Layton Lakes, I found about 60 total zones. For argument's sake, let's assume that all zones have 2 males and 3 females. That's 120 bucks, or as the theory says, 120 available chairs. You pick your 16 best zones to focus on, aiming for 32 big bucks rotating between them, and a big buck would be a max weight estimate level 2. You shoot down the other 44 zones, which are your exterior zones, trying to leave only tiny bucks there, the level 1s, and the small level 2s that look like level 1s. But here's the catch. When you harvest animals, respawns don't always happen in the same zones. A big male from an exterior zone can swap with a small male from a main zone while you are managing your male population, because when you harvest an animal, it opens up the chair. So it's like musical chairs. Every time the music stops, aka a respawn, the animals may change places. Respawns are controlled by RNG, which is random number generation, numbers that decide weight, level, trophy score, or even if they become great ones. Basically, what we are doing is trying to move the large level males of the total population, 32 amongst your main zones, which is the 32 available chairs. This is accomplished through one of 2 ways. The first way is by swapping naturally through harvesting 10 to 20 males per rotation. If you're harvesting 20 males, the chance of them swapping zones could be high, so you could be swapping a small male with a large male in your main zones. The second way is through natural RNG, that a male will spawn in larger or smaller due to the game's internal design and thus keep them in the musical chairs game longer, or have them sit out permanently once they become the small level 1 or level 2. As you move small males to your exterior zones, then stop shooting that zone, you essentially are taking the chairs out of the musical chair game and making the game smaller. So in this whitetail deer example, if you shoot down one zone with 2 bucks, that's 2 less chairs in the game. The same is true about stacking. Essentially what stacking is, it is taking those large bucks out of the rotation for a short period of time as you work on your exterior zones through natural RNG, or moving those remaining large bucks from an exterior zone to a main zone who do not have a buck to stack currently. Stacking does not help spawn smaller bucks, but it does hold their chair for later in the game. You are stacking big bucks in your main zones and essentially backward stacking small bucks in your exterior zones. It's just all stacking. RNG plays the biggest part in all this, as a buck can move up in weight and become a large buck over time, and so too can you get some bad luck with your RNG, and that same buck could move down in weight a few times and have its respawns come back smaller and smaller over time, eventually taking them out of the game, and you can remove the chair. So, where's the proof, JBiz Hunts? Funny enough, the grinding community has already shown it works this way, especially with foxes, bears, and solos that you are trying to deal with on your other grinds. Let's start with the 4-lake method. The 4-lake method on Silver Ridge Peaks for grinding black bears is simple. In the northwest corner of the map, there are 4 lakes. On these 4 lakes, the black bears seem to respawn consistently between the lakes and not jump to other lakes outside of these 4. However, the issue is that there may only be like 20 bear zones that occupy this area, and half of them may be small males or females. To manage this, you must shoot large male bears over level 5 and swap them in the respawn stage with either a female or a small black bear that are level 4 and less on the lakes. In order to do this, you must enter the respawn stage simultaneously to give the best odds of a swap. So how do you accomplish this? You shoot a female black bear on one of the 4 lakes and do not harvest her. You then shoot a large male black bear anywhere else in the reserve and do not harvest him. Once both bears are dead on the map, you would exit to the main menu and get both of them into the respawn stage at the same time, essentially giving a 50-50% chance that they would swap zones or swap the musical chairs. Once you've swapped all your low-level males and females out for large male black bears from around the reserve, you can then start harvesting all the black bears that are male on the 4 lakes and hopefully spawn a great one black bear, because you need to be rotating on males only to spawn a male great one black bear. The island method on Salveson Park, or even Lady Legend's 2-lake method on Emerald Coast for the red fox, work very similar to the 4-lake method for bears. What you're trying to do is swap fox pairs that have a male and a female with solo males or solo females that occupy the island on Salveson, where respawns typically don't jump to other areas of the map, or the 2 lakes on Emerald Coast that do the same thing. You are essentially playing musical chairs and swapping the zones around to ideally have you end up rotating on large male fox and his female partner until you spawn in some large rares, diamonds, and hopefully that great one. We also do something similar in dealing with solo male zones for red deer, fallow deer, tahr, pheasants, and moose. If you have a large male fallow deer occupying a solo zone on Te Aroa as an example, I would just simply do the swap method like you do with black bears. I would shoot him, leave him on the map, and go shoot a small level 2 fallow in one of my main zones, and then exit to the main menu, putting them in the respawn space at the same time, hopefully having them switch zones, which is a 50% chance. It works the same as bears, and it worked on most of my recent fallow deer grind, and my current tahr great one grind as well. All content creators can agree on one thing: herd management seems to help spawn great ones faster, but RNG still rules. I recently watched fellow content creator Tic Tactical spawn his first great one fallow deer, congrats mate, in under 300 harvest, really early in the management of the grind. Meanwhile, I was managing solo zones, using swap tricks, and stacking my main zones and shooting down my exterior zones in my last fallow great one grind, and still needed over 1,700 harvests for my great one fallow deer to come. Why such a difference? Because at the end of the day, it's still musical chairs mixed with RNG. All we're doing is giving ourselves the best odds, but we're still at the mercy of the game's random systems. So, what does this all mean? Well, if this theory holds true, herd management is really just swapping, moving your original big males into your best grind zones and pushing smaller males out to the exterior zones. Mix in some RNG and a bit of good luck, and voila! Herd management as we know it isn't some deep magic system. It does exist, but only in the sense that we are managing the chairs, deciding which animals stay in the active rotation, where we're consistently harvesting them. For example, right now I've managed my Himalayan tahr on Te Aroa so that I'm rotating around 12 zones with 2 bulls each. Every so often, one of my shooter bulls gets a bit of bad luck and respawns as a level 2. When that happens, I simply shoot him again, and over time, he usually works his way back up to level 3 or level 4, or hopefully diamond. It's all about managing the movement, not controlling it perfectly. So what could we do differently with this mindset? Focus on mid-level animals early. At the start of your grind, prioritize shooting mid-level animals like a level 3 fallow deer. You're trying to nudge them either up or down. Ideally, they respawn lower, level 2, and you can effectively remove that chair from the active rotation. You could also leave small males alone regardless of how your map is set up and what's main or exterior zones. Just never shoot level 1s or small level 2s early on. Consider zones filled with low level animals as already out of the game, even if they're easy to hunt. Or you can change your stacking mindset. Don't stress about stacking only diamond potential or max level animals. If you find a large max weight estimate male, even if it's just a big level 4 fallow deer, leave it alone. It's a chair that is now taking out of circulation, preventing weaker animals from swapping into your key grind zones. It's just holding its spot. So in short, if this conspiracy theory is true, you could manage your grind much faster by prioritizing mid-level animals from the start, stacking large max weight estimate males regardless of their trophy potential or level, and never shooting small males unless it's absolutely necessary. Over time, RNG will continue to do its thing, swapping zones, removing zones, and reshuffling chairs in your favor. The ultimate goal is simple: keep harvesting max weight estimate males to give their respawns the highest possible chance of becoming max level, or even a great one. This is done by moving your biggest bucks to your main zones over time. And this could also explain why short grinds happen. Sometimes, a max weight estimate male harvested early on as you were swapping zones could immediately respawn as a great one, because you just happened to be in the right spot at the right time with a little luck. That's why herd management isn't cheating. You basically just corralled your original population file's largest males to 16 zones and moved all smaller males to the outside zones. The mechanic allows for swapping and also allows for animals to respawn smaller or larger. There's no magic, considering that most content creators, myself included, always say that you should be shooting your main zones while you're shooting down your exterior zones. Why? Because they can swap. So, what do you think of herd management doesn't exist conspiracy theory? Am I out to lunch, or am I onto something? I'd love to know all your thoughts, good and bad. Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to get more Hunter Call the Wild content, please subscribe. And as always, fellow hunters, happy hunting.